Hello, third graders. I am so glad to see you. Well, I wish I really was seeing you, but I'm so glad to be able to tell you stories. You know, this is toward the end of October, and on Saturday, some of us will go trick or treating. And I have three riddles about Halloween. Are you ready for the first one? Remember, if you know it, just kind of tap your cheek like that. What are ghosts' favorite food at Halloween? I think some of you have it. It's spookgetti. All right. Speaking of best candy, best food, best candy, how many of you, just kind of with thumbs up, how many of you like Reese's Pieces? How many of you like Tootsie Rolls? Ooh. How many of you like caramels? I like that. How many of you like Swedish Fish? Well, no matter what food you think you like, I am going to tell you about the best candy in the whole world. Dennis hopped into his mother's car at the end of school, and as they drove away from the car line, he said, "I am so hungry, Mom. Please hurry and get home. I'm starving." She said, "Oh dear, okay, well, yeah, we have some stuff at home you can snack on." Great. Except she didn't turn toward home. She turned toward Kroger. Dennis was like, "Mom, what are you doing?" "I just have to pick up a couple items." He said, "Oh my gosh, no. I know what a couple of items mean for you, like 1 or 2 baskets." I said, "Oh, Dennis, stop your complaining." So they walked into the store, and he said, "Okay, what do you need, Mom?" She said, "I need bread and milk." He said, "Okay, let's go get the bread and milk." And on the way, they saw a sale for detergent. "Oh, wait, this is a good sale. Let's get some." "I knew it." He said, "Come on, Joey." They started going down the bread aisle. She got a loaf of bread. And then she said, "Oh, I need some buns. I need some buns." Yeah. And she got some buns. And then they turned the corner and she said, "How about chili dogs some night? How about tonight? It's nice and cool. Let's have chili dogs." "Mom, you're filling up your basket again." "Oh, just hush." And they went down 3 more aisles. Dennis complaining every step of the way. Finally, his mother said, "All right, Dennis, go out those doors and wait for me right out there. I'll be there in a minute or 2. He said, "Yeah, Mom, I know, a minute or 2. And do you mean an hour to go?" she said. So he went out of the door and stood there next to the building. Time was passing. He knew it would. He was starving. But then coming out of the doors was a little old lady, and she was all hunched up, and she was trying to take her cart down into the parking lot. Well, Dennis, despite his complaining, really was a good kid. So he said, "Can I give you some help to the cart, miss?" And she said, "Oh, Sonny, that would be so good. Now, yes, that would be so good." So he pushed her car and loaded into the groceries into her trunk. And then she walked to the front door of her car and said, "Here, Sonny, let me pay you a nickel." He said, "Oh, no, I didn't do it for money. No, I don't need any money. Thank you very much. My mom's probably coming soon, so I'm going to go now." And she said, "Oh, Sonny, here, let me give you some candy. It is just like the best candy in the whole world." He said, "Well, thank you. I better go before my mom comes out." And he put the candy in his pocket. Well, when he finally did get home and had a snack, and he had soccer practice, and then he played some video games, and then he had some homework to do, and then he finally went to bed. Well, he woke up late, and he had to jump into his clothes that he had worn yesterday, his jeans, and he put them on, buckled it up, and ran out the front door just in time because his 2 friends were there. He ran up and joined them and said, "Hi, guys." And his friend, Troy, said, "Oh, man, do you have anything to eat? I am starving. I'm starving." Dennis rolled his eyes, said, "Not me," and he shoved his hands down into his jeans pockets. And he said, "Well, wait, oh yeah, I helped a little old lady yesterday and she gave me some candy. She said it was the best candy in the whole world." Well, Troy quickly took that candy and said, "I've never seen a candy like this." He unwrapped it and he said, "Oh my gosh, I've never seen a candy like this." Popped it in his mouth. "This is the best candy I've ever had. The very, very, very best. Oh gosh, give me another piece." And he said, "Oh, I don't have another piece." He put his hand in his pocket and there was another one. He didn't remember that she gave him two. So Dennis gave it to Troy, and then Troy's friend, Charlie, said, hey, I want one too." He said, "I didn't get that many candies." And they said, "Well, look." And they popped his hand in his pocket. He had another one. So Charlie had one. "Oh," he said, "this smells like the best candy in the whole world. It tastes like the best candy in the whole world." Well, then the boys had to run because it was almost the target bell. They ran into class just in time and sat down. Dennis had Miss Woods, and Miss Woods was really nice, but she loved to read, and he knew first thing she was going to ask him to get out his reading book and read. So he reached in his pocket to empty his lunch money and put it in his desk. He had the desk that rose up and put down, so you had like a little hole in it. And he reached into his pocket, and there was more candy. He'd already given away 3 pieces of candy. Oh, he was going to get busted if he didn't get rid of that candy. So he stuffed it in there. And Miss Wood said, "Oh, class, I'm so glad to see you today. Today we're going to clean out our desk, even before we read, which is the very most important thing in the whole world." Dennis growled, "I can't let her look in. I can't pull it out." So he kind of moved things around a little bit, tucked it in, and then he sat with his hands folded on the desk. Miss Woods came walking by and said, "Oh, Dennis, you're not cleaning out your desk, dear boy." He said, "Oh, it's all clean." She said, "Dennis, I looked after school at everybody's desk, and yours was the messiest. Now pull all that stuff out, right now." He said, "Do I have to?" Because he knew he was going to get busted for having that candy. So he pulled it out, and there sat the candy. She said, "Dennis, what are you doing bringing candy to school?" He said, "Well, I didn't. I didn't." She said, "But Dennis, I've never seen candy that looks like this." She unwrapped it. "I've never smelled candy that looked like this." And she plopped it in her mouth. "Dennis, I've never tasted candy like this. Give me another." He said, "I just had one." She said, what do you call that right there?" And she took that candy and popped it in her mouth. She said, "Class, line up in Dennis's row. He has candy for everybody." And they each came up and did the same thing. "It doesn't look like it. Whoa!" And they kept going around and around, and Dennis kept having more stuff. Well, there came a rap on the door. Boom, boom, boom. And Mr. Smith from next door stepped in and he said, "Ms. Woods, your class is too loud. We can't concentrate." And she said, "Oh, Mr. Woods, come over here. Come over here. Dennis has brought the best candy in the whole world." He walked over, got a piece. "Oh," he said, quickly ran back to his classroom and said, "Class, line up. Dennis brought the best candy in the whole world." Soon all of the 3rd graders were circling through, and Dennis kept pulling out another piece of candy and another piece of candy. Then there was an eruption over the announced loudspeaker, and he said, "Miss Woods, please send Dennis down to my office." Dennis's eyes got huge. He had never been sent to the principal's office. He walked down the hall, and he'd never even spoken to the principal other than to say, "Hello, hello." So he went in there, and his secretary said, "He will see you right now." He sat down and looked at Mr.
Mr. Paddle, man, he said, "Oh, Mr. Paddle, um, did I do something wrong?" He said, "I understand you're causing quite a commotion down in the third grade, and it involves candy." He said, "Well, I didn't really bring it to school, it just happened." He said, "Give it here." And Dennis reached in, and sure enough, there was another piece of candy. The principal looked at it and said, "I've never smelled candy like this." Unwrapped it. "I've never seen candy like this." "Whoa! Oh!" He quickly ran across the room, got on the loudspeaker, and he says, "Attention, all students and all teachers. Please line up outside my office and come get some candy that Dennis brought." And they did. And all day long, kids kept circling through the office. They missed lunch. They missed the STAR test in the afternoon. On and on and on. Finally, Dennis was watching the clock, and it was almost 3 when the bell would ring, and he could get out of there. And just then the bell rang, and he scurried out the front door and hopped in his mother's car in the waiting car line. He said, "Drive, Mom, drive." She said, "What is going on in there, Dennis? Everybody's all over the hall." He said, "Just drive, get away from here, go, 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 go." He said, "Oh my goodness, I had such a terrible day." She said, "You know what? I baked some fresh chocolate chip cookies, and that'll make you feel so much better when we get there." He said, "Oh, good, good." He said, "Wait a minute, what do you mean when we get there?" She said, "Well, I just have to go by Kroger's and pick up a couple of things. Like, you need some milk to eat those chocolate chip cookies." "Oh, no." And sure enough, she drove to Kroger. "Oh, Mom, don't be so long, don't be so long." And he dashed in the store with his mother. Come on, Mom, I'm ready to get home, She said, "Dennis, I think it's time for you to go outside again and wait by that door." Whoosh, whoosh. He was leaning against the brick wall when whoosh, whoosh, and he looked over, and there was a lady in a little black dress pushing her cart ever so slowly toward her car, and he said, "Ma'am, may I help you?" "Oh, Sonny, that would be so great. A little boy helped me yesterday." He said, "Yes, ma'am." And he went and he took the groceries and he put it in her bag in the back of her seat. And she said, "Here, let me pay you. I have a piece of candy." He said, "No, I don't want that candy anymore. No." And she said, "Oh, well, how about a quarter?" And she gave him a quarter. And as he thanked her and turned and walked back toward the stores, he wondered if the same thing would happen to that quarter. And that is the story by Bill Harley called "The Best Candy in the Whole World." I have another joke for you. Are you ready? I have to cheat and take a look. How do you repair a jack-o'-lantern? You get a pumpkin patch. Do you get it? Pumpkin patch. Today, we're going to have our final story. And it is kind of a scary story, but I think you guys are third graders and you'll be fine with it. So, are you ready? Here we go. This story happened to my brother. He was going to the University of Texas and to college, and he had to drive from Dallas, because we grew up in Dallas. I think I've shared that with you. We grew up in Dallas, and he had to drive all the way down to Austin every month when he came home to visit. And he had an old clunker of a car, because that's all he could afford in college. So he was almost there. He passed Waco. It was almost there. He was so ready to get home, and his car started. When you know, it was getting dark outside, and he pulled over to the side of the road, and there was a gravel road that led to a farmhouse. He knew he couldn't get that car started. It had broken down before. So he decided that maybe he would just go ask the farmer if he could stay there overnight. Then he could get someone out from town to help him repair the car or tow it away. So he knocked on the door and stepped back because he didn't want to be threatening to the farmer. And the farmer said, "Yes, son, what can I do for you?" He said, "Well, my car's broken down, and I think in the morning I can call and get it repaired. But tonight, could I sleep in your barn?" He said, "Oh, of course you can. Come on in, and meet the family." So he went in, and it was a wonderful family. They were all sitting around having dinner. They were having pork chops and gravy, and mashed potatoes and green beans. Oh, my brother thought, this is great. So after dinner, he helped clean up, and then he said, "Well, I'm going to go on out to the barn." Farmer said, Great, let me show you how. Turn on the lights, and we'll kind of get your bed all made up." And he went out there and got some hay and got it all tucked down. And he was about to say goodnight when he turned to Joe and he said, "I have to show you something down in the basement of the barn. Why don't you follow me?" So they walked over to the back of the barn. It was pretty dark back there. And the farmer scooted some of the hay around, and there was a trap door that raises from the floor of the barn. And he raised that up. And he started going down. He said, "Follow me." And they went down this stair. Clunk, 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 clunk. When they got there, they came to a longish hallway. And at the end of that hallway was a door that had a big lock on it. The farmer reached up above the door and grabbed the key and unlocked it, and he went in. Clunk, 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 clunk. Then they came to a door that had a crossbar on it. Have you seen that kind of thing? And you have to lift it up, and they're real heavy. And he lifted that up, and it went. And he put it in place, and he walked through the door, and he shut it behind him. Then he kept walking. He came to a set of glass doors. All glass, in a basement of a barn. And there were the doors like are at grocery stores that open. Whoosh, 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 whoosh. And Jimmy kind of leaned against it, and he realized that was thick glass. The farmer saw him leaning against it, and he said, "Yeah, son, that's bulletproof and shatterproof. Nothing's breaking out of that." Well, my brother was kind of worried. What would you build to keep stuff from breaking that in a barn? So they went through the doors, whoosh, whoosh, and they walked into a room, on with the light, and there was a room all lined with thick bars, like a jail, but even stronger than that. And he looked in there, and there on the distance, the back of that cage, that huge cage. I don't know if you're going to believe this, but there was a purple gorilla. A purple gorilla. It was kind of beautiful and kind of awful, and that gorilla kind of looked up from its nap. Settle down, said the farmer. "We're just taking a look. Isn't that amazing?" And my brother said he just stared at it. He'd never seen a gorilla that close, much less a purple gorilla. So he said, "I just wanted to let you know what was down here. Now follow me." And they walked back, turned out the lights, and he put a code into the door, and whoosh, whoosh, the door opened and closed, and they were on the other side. Then they came to that door with the heavy crossbar, and it was up for now. So they pushed it open, and then on the other side, the farmer pulled down that huge crossbar. Boom! Then they walked. Then they got to the door that had been locked. He pushed it open, and then locked it. Then they walked down the final hallway. At the foot of the stairs, they turned off the lights, click, and went back up the stairs. When they got to the top of the stairs, they pushed the trap door open, climbed through, and shut it down. The farmer reached up and got the padlock to put on it and said, "Joe, I just wanted to show you what I had in my basement, just so you would know. But you should be fine. As you see, it is locked in a cage. It is locked behind a glass door, a heavy door with a big key lock, and that crossbar door, and then a long hallway, and then I have this locked here in your trap. But you should be just fine." My brother said, okay, thanks for showing me, sir. And the farmer walked out of the barn, and my brother blew out the lantern. He was laying on that bed of hay. But he couldn't sleep. He had been really tired. But after you see a purple gorilla, do you think you could go to sleep? I don't think I could. So he was waiting and waiting. He said, can't sleep, so I wonder if I might just sneak down and take a look at it again. I'll be really quiet. So he walked over to the back of the barn where the trap door was. He reached up and got that key, opened the door, the trap door, and then he went in and went down the stairs. Clomp, 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 clomp. Turned on the lights at the base of the stairs. Click! And he walked down the hallway to the door with the big lock. Got the big key off the wall. And he opened the door. Then he got to the door. What do you remember? The big crossbar, right? So he lifted that heavy crossbar. And Joe was a strong young man, but it took every ounce of his body to lift it up. And he opened the door. Closed it behind him. Then there was that glass door. And he looked behind the glass and he thought he could see just a faint reflection of the bars. And then he remembered the code. Oh yeah, 7771. And he typed it in, 7771. Whoosh, whoosh. And then he was in the room with the cage of the purple gorilla. Now, the farmer had said, whatever you do, if you ever see my purple gorilla again, is don't tickle it. My brother thought that was kind of funny. Who would tickle a gorilla? So he walked over closer to the cage, and the gorilla was now laying against the bars, snoozing. My brother couldn't resist. Sometimes when someone tells you not to do it, that's all you can think about. So he reached in with his hand and went, tickle, tickle, tickle. Rah! The gorilla came alive, came awake, and it started shaking the bar. And Joe could see at the top the bars were coming loose. He ran out of there so fast. Whoosh, whoosh. He took the time to put in the code, 7771, and he started running down the hall. He came to the door with the crossbar. He ran through it, put the crossbar down. Whoa! He ran some more. Run. And he got to the door where they had the big lock. He went through it and back through it, and he reached up and got the key again. Whoosh, whoosh, and it was locked. He ran down the last hallway. But just then he heard this big crash. And oh my God, thought my brother, that's that bulletproof glass, that glass that will never shatter. I've just heard it shatter. And he put his first foot on the stair to go upstairs. And then he heard it. He heard that crossbar door go, boom! And he had broken off the crossbar. Oh my gosh, thought my brother, I better hurry. He climbed up the stairs as fast as he could, and just then he could hear the door with the lock BAM! Being thrown open. He thought, oh, it's gotten through the locked door. Oh my gosh. He got the key off of the nail up above, and he locked down the trap door. Oh, thought my brother, as much as it's broken through, I better get out of here. I better get out. He grabbed his school books and he ran out to his car and he put the key in the ignition just as he began to hear this crash. And there went the door. There went the trap door. The gorilla was now in the barn. Oh my gosh. He turned that ignition. He turned it again. And in the moonlight, he could see the purple gorilla, the Hulk, coming through, looking so angry, so ready to get back at my brother, because he had tickled him. And he started again, and he reached over and locked the door on the passenger side. He locked this door right here. And he started again. Then the gorilla was pushing on the back of the car. It was jumping on it. It was jumping off the top of the roof. And it was shaking the whole car. My brother thought, oh, come on, car. Come on, car, start. And just then, the gorilla's hand came smashing through the window. But just then, my brother's car started. But it was too late. My brother had the gorilla's hand right there. And he reached in and he said, tickle, 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 you're it. And that is the story of the purple gorilla. How about one more Halloween joke to end the morning? Let's do that. What is the name of the witch who lives in the deserts? And it's a little harder, I think. I think some of you are getting it. Okay, what is the name of the witch that lives in a desert? It's called a sandwich. Sandwich? Hey, you've heard my stories. I hope you've listened well and that you've enjoyed them. And so, I hope you get the best candy in the whole world, but I hope you never find a purple gorilla that likes to play tag. You're it. Thank you so much. I'll see you next month.